Hello there. Welcome back to our public relations N6. So this week I want to look at the question paper of June 2025. So we are going to look at the first question that we have on that question paper. That is our question one. So in terms of our question one, it reads, it is important to choose a suitable sitting and room layout that takes into consideration the presentation style and the audience needs and supports the communication objectives. So we are given a 1.1 whereby we have to match the terms that we have in column B with explanations that we have in column A. So it reads, choose a term from column B that matches the description in column A. So of course, in terms of the first description that we have, it is that the audience is seated in an arc facing towards an order for them to see the presenter. According to our responses that we have, of course, you'd see that the correct response is the cabaret that we have on E. So we represent our E as the correct response. So we represent our E as the correct response. So in terms of our question two, this entails a central table. It can be a round, oval, or square with attendees are facing inwards. So with the responses that we have, of course, we can go down to see that our responses are from A to F. So the correct response that represents a central table that is round, that can be round, oval, or square with attendees facing inwards. So the most appropriate that we have is the boardroom. Remember, this is the sitting position that we have in terms of a boardroom. So with that, we represent our F. In terms of 1.1.3, the sitting is like a cinema and a theater, which sits in straight rows are facing a stage. So you'd see that this is an auditorium that we have on B. So we have B as the correct response. Then 1.1.4, rows of seats and tables with work surfaces facing the front of the room like lecture rooms. So this represents, basically this is a presentation of a classroom. So we have D. And number five, this is a group of tables and seats set in the shape of a horseshoe. Of course, a horseshoe, remember, it is sort of a shape like this. So in that case, you'd see that the correct that we have is a U shape, which we have in this part, which is C as our correct answer. So we move on to 1.2. So in terms of 1.2, it is various options are given as possible answers. And the following questions, you choose the right question. Of course, we start on 1.2.1. Any paid form of non-personal promotion of products, services, and ideas by an identified sponsor in non-personal media. So you'd see that according to our responses, we've got public relations, advertising, non-personal media, business. So with responses that we are having there, you'd see that the correct one that we have is advertising, which we have on B. So we have B as the correct answer. So advertising basically its main purpose is to inform the consumers about consumers or customers about their product and convince customers about the products that are being offered in terms of how best are those products, how benefits that they can gain from consuming the product. So this is advertising. So basically, it's a form of informing the customers about our product that we are producing as a business. So advertising is the most appropriate that we have according to our response that we have. Then we move on to question two. Question two is a strategic communication process that establishes relations, creates goodwill between an organization and its stakeholders by using publicity and other communication media. Of course, we have got stakeholders, advertising, two-way communication, public relations. So according to our responses to that, this is clearly public relations. So we have public relations on D. Then we move on to number 3. In terms of number 3, we can just try to zoom out so that we can see clearly what we have. So on number 3, our question reads, involves a benefactor who makes a financial or material contribution to an organization, a party, etc. So with the responses that we have, you see that this is basically a sponsorship, or we have sponsorship A. So remember, a sponsorship, it is a strategic partnership where a company provides financial or material support to another a company or to another organization. So you'd see that sponsorship comes as a marketing tactic that builds brand awareness and reputation by connecting with target audience. So with that, you see that within that context, sponsorship is the correct answer that we have there. Then we go to number 4. So in terms of number 4, it implies that all communication methods should be integrated and coordinated to deliver a clear and consistent message about the product, services, image, and identity of an organization to the market. So of course, we've got PR, image, communication methods, integrated marketing, public relations, communications. So with the responses that we have, you'd see that integrated marketing is the most appropriate that we have according to our responses. So we have integrated marketing on C. So with that, we move on to the next part, which is now 1.2.5. This is a process of seeking financial support for a cause. And of course, this is a fundraising. We have fundraising A. In terms of the next, number 6, the financial or material support given to parties without expecting anything in return. So this is clearly a donation, which is B, because whenever there's a donation, there is no expectation of a return. Then you go to number 7, relates to responsible business conduct and actions that consider ethical standards and actions, legal compliance and respect for the environment and stakeholders affected by business operations. So of course, that one, you see that we've got corporate social investments, ethical actions, environmental and development and stakeholders. Then we've got corporate social responsibility. So the most appropriate one is corporate social responsibility, which we have a D. Moving on to number 8, a systematic research method that can identify the strength and weakness of the current internal and external communication methods of the organization. So on number 8, you'd see that we were two-way communication, publications, research, communication methods, communication audit. So it is the communication audit, which we have on D. Moving on to the next question that we have is on number 9. So of course we try to zoom it out, but we have question number 9. Question number 9 is organizations can plan and organize such an event to achieve their business communication objectives with employees, business partners, or the media. Of course, we've got event as on A. B, we've got corporate social event or business event. And C, we've got public event. Then D, we've got social event. So you see that the correct answer that we have is corporate social event or a business event that we have on B. Number 9, produced for the employees to convey business and social news relating to their organization and workplace. And of course, we've got newsletter, memorandum, internal newsletter, staff or house journal. So the correct one is staff or house journal. So remember, we're looking at a staff journal. Basically, it is there. You see that the notion behind a staff journal is keeping written records of thoughts and experiences. Of course, these are for employees. So basically, this is what we have on number 10. Then we'll move on to the next question. We are now going to our question 1.3, which you have to differentiate between multimedia and social media. But basically, when we are looking at the multimedia, we are going to see that looking at the multimedia, it involves integration of basically the sound, video, images. It also includes issues like presentations and text. So it's an integration of all the aspects that we've mentioned in terms of images, text, video, sound, presentation. That becomes a multimedia. Then looking at social media, it basically involves electronic media. That is technology that is web-based, is a part of social media, and it includes devices such as, for example, iPads. We can talk about computers. Also, phones also are part of the devices under social media. These are explanations that we have in terms of multimedia, social media. So by bringing those explanations, we are also pointing out the difference between the two. So within that context, we check in terms of the explanation that we have according to our memo. Multimedia involves integration of sound, image, video, text, and presentation, whereby social media involves electronic media using web-based technology. That is the internet, and devices included are also mentioned. So with that, we are pointing out the difference between multimedia and social media. So in terms of the next one, we have got conference and a seminar. And of course, when we are looking at the conference, it involves a large number of people, be it groups. We are talking also of a large number, or we are talking about the members. There will be a large number. So basically, we are saying it involves a large number of people, groups, or members. Basically, that's what we have that in terms of a conference. And under the conference, the people meet to discuss matters that are of any matter that is there of common interest. Can be discussed under a conference. Then looking at the seminar now, the number of people that will be there will be less. So we're talking about a small group of people that will be there. And of course, when that all the groups that are there should be led by a leader in terms of an expert. Obviously, they meet to discuss issues that are educational. That is under seminar. So under seminar, we are having only issues that are going to be discussed are supposed to be educational. So this is again what we have in terms of the highlight that we have no other section. So we have the explanation on conferences. We also have the explanation on seminar. So with that, we also point out the difference between the two. Then with that, we move on to the next part, which is now on a crisis and a disaster. So a crisis basically, it comes as an emergency event, so it might be something that is not of good nature. So that's what we have. So a crisis is something that is going to activate a bad position. So that comes as a crisis. So basically, it's a situation, a bad situation that will be there that is showing that it is going to lead to something that is not in a good position. So that is what we have in terms of a crisis. Then if we look at a disaster now, it comes as a natural. It is a natural catastrophe. We can briefly describe it as a natural catastrophe. Obviously, this will lead to a loss, a great loss. It will lead to a great loss. Whenever a disaster transpires, it leads to a great loss. So that is what we have. And with that, those explanations now we are pointing out at the difference between the two. So we are saying, checking on the explanations that we have in terms of crisis. We are having crisis of this part whereby we are saying crisis is a critical situation, emergence or disruptive event that poses a serious threat to the organization, its existence, reputation, and stakeholders. Then if you look at disaster now, it becomes a sudden accident or natural catastrophe that causes great damage or loss of life. So that's what we have on the crisis and disaster part. Then we move on to print media and electronic media. So in terms of our print media, it involves communication, obviously, that is in uh, written nature, and obviously it is part of communication technology, and obviously it has a targeted audience that will be directed whenever we have a print media. Then you look at electronic media now. It's something that requires to be activated by power. We're talking about electricity. So there must be electricity so that we activate um, electronical matters that has to do with electronic media. So with that, we also have those explanations as pointed out in our answer section, as we are saying. Looking at print media on this part, involve communication technology used to reach a mass media. The electronic media is electronic technology that requires electricity or digital encoding of information. So, of course, on the next part, we have got reliability and validity, whereby reliability, we are saying the degree to which a measure in brackets, assessment or research instrument produces stable and consistent results. In terms of reliability, we are saying we are looking at how consistently a method, it might be, when we're looking at a method, we are looking at how consistently a method um, measures something. Obviously, it can be measuring something accurately. When we are having a consistent method that is measuring something accurately, it becomes reliable. And also, we are saying it is reliable when the same result can be consistently achieved by using the same method under the same circumstances. That now we are saying we are now reached a conclusion that there is reliability. Then we look at validity. The explanation that we have there is that the degree to which research must measure what it intends to measure. So basically, it explains quality of being based on the truth, that is validity, or reason reason of being accepted. So this is a validity. So basically, these are the expressions that we have that points out the differences between reliability and validity. Then with that, we move on to 1.4. So we'll check in terms of our 1.4, what actually do we have? So in terms of 1.4, it is read this scenario below and answer the questions. So and of course, we have got a scenario of corporate social responsibility. And then we have to go through information under corporate social responsibility. Then below that, we've got question part, whereby it is identify 4 areas of corporate social responsibility that Lotosta is focused on. What are the areas of corporate social responsibility that Lotosta is focused on? So, of course, we are looking at areas of corporate social responsibility that you have to point out that that a business should focus on. So, in terms of that, now I would say that we can include issues like economic development, environmental conservation. You can include community development. Also, can be part of areas of corporate responsibility. So, those are as well mentioned in our answer section, as we are talking about employee development as one of them. We look at skills development, economic development, community development. You look at environmental conservation. So basically, this is what we have 1.4.1. Then we move on to the next question, which is now saying, that is 1.4.2, distinction between corporate social responsibility and corporate social investment. So corporate social responsibility, basically, it relates to responsible business conduct. That is corporate social responsibility in terms of the environment in which the business is operating, and also in terms of the stakeholders that are within the operations of that business. That is corporate social responsibility. Then we look at corporate social investment now. It's basically a strategic practice where companies or businesses allocate financial and non-financial resources to address social and developmental challenges in communities. So you'd see that corporate social investment is an external practice outside the business core operations undertaken to achieve sustainable and social outcomes and uplift communities. That is corporate social investment. That brings the discrepancies that exists between corporate social responsibility and corporate social investment. So we have that as well articulated in our other section, whereby we've got the explanation of corporate social responsibility, and also we have the explanation of corporate social investment, thereby pointing out the difference that exists between the two. Then, of course, we now move on to 1.4.3, which reads, how does Lotosta show their seriousness about giving back to our community? Of course, we can try to refer back to the scenario that we are given and to try to see how they are giving back to their community. So we can come with this sentence, we see that it is we have partnered with various radio stations on different campaigns. So this is the point that can be very relevant. By quoting that sentence, we are pointing out how does Lotosta show seriousness about giving back to communities. So let's check in terms of our memo part, whereby it reads, by partnering with various radio stations on several campaigns. This is exactly the sentence that we have just picked. So that's what we have on that one. Then we go to 1.4.4, describe 4 corporate social investment advantages which Lotosta will gain. So what are the advantages of corporate social investment? That's basically what our question is asking for. So within that context now, advantages of corporate social investment, you see that it increases brand awareness. When your company is engaging in corporate social investment, there is a brand awareness that becomes a benefit to the business. And also, it also promotes employee satisfaction, and also promote employee loyalty and productivity. So basically, those are some of the positives that we can try to pick from corporate social investment. Of course, our question is asking for 4 of them. So we are referred to see what do we have in terms of our answer section, whereby we've got the first one, improve competitive edge by attracting and retaining investors, customers, staff, and also enhance credibility and reputation, increase brand awareness, increase brand loyalty and customer loyalty, support the marketing objective, promote employee satisfaction, promote employee loyalty and productivity, increase corporate brand awareness that promotes financial and business growth. Of course, further points we also have that are also pointing out the benefits or the advantages. So with that, we move on to the next part now, which is now our part of 1 point. Of course, we have got our 1.3, so 1.5. So 1.5 says exhibitions can fulfill the marketing and PR objectives of organizations. So that is our 1.5. Exhibitions can fulfill the marketing and PR objectives of organizations. Describe 2 main objectives of exhibitions. So what are the objectives of exhibitions? Of course, it's basically to build relations and goodwill. To build relations and goodwill. So we are saying in terms of the objectives, we have got to market and promote the sale of products or services of a business directly to its target markets. It's one of them. And also we look at to build relations and goodwill and promote their corporate image among the public and target groups. So that's what we have on 1.5. So moving on to the next question, which is now our 1.6. Describe 3 guidelines for staff manning the stand at an exhibition. What are the 3 guidelines? And of course, we have got many guidelines that you can include there, but also we should take note that the staff must keep the set neat and clean. That's the basic guideline that we can try to come up with. That is on our 1.6. So we've got various guidelines that we see that are being mentioned, but of course, we check in terms of the first one that we have, which is SMILE, a basic guideline that we see. And also make eye contact, treat all visitors with respect, give visitors your undivided attention, be friendly and make visitors feel important, always be presentable and alert, be accessible, do not use closed body language, no sitting, eating, reading, or texting while on duty, avoid eating spicy food with garlic or curry, Do not hover over visitors. Of course, we've got a further points that are there, which we can also include as part of that. So with that now, we see that this is all what we have in terms of 1.6. And move on to our 1.7, which says describe 5 venue selection. Describe 5 venue selection criteria. How do we select a venue? Of course, in terms of the venue selection criteria that we have on 1.7, the first point that we have, the type of event should suit the objectives of the event. That's the first part that we have. And then, of course, the second one, the location should be responsible, is to be a responsible distance from the airport and be easily accessible. And number 3, the venue size should be suitable to accommodate the required number of attendees. Then seating should be suitable for the needs of the event. For example, theater seating style, and then there should be a suitable gathering areas for registration or workshop sessions, and brackets noise free, for instance. So these are some of the points that we can include in terms of part 1.7. So basically, this is what we have on number 1.7, which is the last part that we have according to our question 1. So this is all what we have within the context of this video. So thank you for listening, and thank you. Hopefully the video was helpful. And please let's not forget to subscribe and share the link to our colleagues who are doing the same subject. As for this video, I'm signing off. Let's meet again in the next video.